All right, so you need to have a piece of paper out like you would in normal class right now. That could look like a notebook, or it could look like just a regular piece of paper, or it could be your Chromebook being opened in Kami. But you do also still need to be able to see me. So, what we're going to do today is we're going to start with notes on orders of operations. Okay, so that's our heading. Our order of operations is referred to as PEMDAS. Okay, so PEMDAS, the P stands for parentheses. They look like that, or they can also be this bracket form. Our E stands for exponents. An exponent is this little number that's up in the top. So I did that with an E and an X, and I'll show you what it looks like with numbers. So like 2 to the 4th. Then we have the M and the D. And I actually like to write my M and D side by side with an arrow underneath, because this is multiply and divide, and it's got a caveat rule. From left to right. So division could be more important than the multiplication if it is listed first. Multiplication could be more important than the division if it's listed first. They're kind of equal, it's just about who gets listed first. So that's multiplication and division. Okay, I like to do the same thing with my A and S. I like to place them side by side. This is for addition and subtraction. From left to right. Okay, so this is our rule as we move forward. In the rest of math, you can never ever forget this. We're going to use it for the rest of math for forever. So I have an example for you. My example is 3 times 8 minus 5 squared minus 12. So if I gave you this big, gross thing, a lot of people's first intention is to start with the 3 because we read from left to right. But we're not going to start with the 3. We're going to start with the parentheses because that P in PEMDAS tells us the parentheses are the most important part. So I do the inside of the parentheses first, no matter what's in there. So 8 minus 5 is 3. Notice how I'm changing colors. If you have the ability to do that at home right now, it's really helpful. So I have 3 times 3 squared minus 12. So I'm looking to see, are there any more parentheses? The answer is no. So we check that off and we're good there. So the next thing we do is exponents. So I'm looking for any of those little teeny tiny numbers, and I have one. So 3 squared is the same thing as 3 times 3. Some of us are going to need to write that step down. Some of us will not. 3 times 3 is equal to 9. So I bring down everything else. Okay. So I'm looking to see, are there any more exponents? And there's not. So we check that step off. I'm now looking for multiplication or division, whichever one comes first. So I'm looking for two things here. I see a multiply sign. So I'm going to do this part first. 3 times 9 is 27. I'm going to bring down the rest of my equation. I'm going to check for more multiplication divisions, and there's not any more, so I'm going to check that off. I'm good. So then I'm going to check for addition and subtraction. I'm looking for a color I haven't used yet. Looks like this is green. And as I subtract 27 minus 12, I get 15. That's my answer. I then circle it. Okay. So, we're working really hard to match our notes to what mine look like. One of the things that you probably struggle with is taking notes in class and making sure that they look really nice and neat. So we try to make sure that we have our steps laid out. Now, we're going to go back and label this some more because there are notes. So under this first part, we're going to put that this was parentheses. Under the second part, what we did is we did that squared, which is an exponent. Under the third part, we did multiplication. And I'm going to put a note. There wasn't division. Okay. Then I'm going to put subtraction, because the next thing we did was subtract. And I'm going to put a star. There wasn't addition. Okay, so that's kind of how I'm taking notes on my stuff. And I'm going to do a few more examples for you. So I have 3 plus 6 times 4 divided by 3 minus 4. Okay, I'm going to recopy down that PEMDAS over here just so that we remember it. So the first thing I'm looking for is that P in PEMDAS, those parentheses. I see some. So I'm going to do whatever's inside, whatever it says. So 6 times 4 is 24. And I'm going to rewrite everything else. I'm just bringing it straight down. I don't bring the parentheses down anymore. I got rid of those. I bring down the division sign. I bring down the 4. So, mistake. A mistake would be to start right here because you're so used to reading left to right. No. We're going to double check and make sure all of our parentheses are gone. Are there any more parentheses? No. So that's done. So now we're looking for exponents. My exponents are those really tiny numbers that are kind of up to the right. And I don't see any exponents. So there's none there. I'm done. So now that we've skipped exponents, I'm looking for multiplication and division. So I don't see one, I don't see one, I don't see one. I see one right here. So I'm going to do 24 divided by 3. Now, if we struggle with that, off to the side we can show our work. 24 divided by 3. I know 3 goes into 2 0 times. I'm still left with 24. So that's gross, and I have to do the actual math then. So I'm like 3 plus 3 is 6, plus 3 is 9, plus 3 is 12, plus 3 is 15, plus 3 is 18, plus 3 is 21, plus 3 is 24. And now I need to go and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 threes. Okay. I'm going to erase my work there. The hope is that we get to a point where we're good enough with our multiplications that we don't need to do that. I'm going to bring everything down. I'm going to double check. Do I need any more multiplication or division? And no, and it took me division to get there. So now I'm looking for addition and subtraction. So I see addition. That's my first thing. 3 plus 8 is 11. Minus 4. I bring that straight down. Should probably leave that black, sorry. That was addition. And now I have subtraction. So notice that I kept it green because the green represents my addition and my subtraction. I can have both of those things in here. So notice that this is the first time we've skipped a step because there are no exponents, and it's also the first time I have 2 of a certain type. 11 minus 4 is 7. Now, always with our answer, we circle it, and we're going to write down that it took us subtraction to get there. There's a difference between how I did my top one and my bottom one. Okay, my top one I went back afterwards and I wrote parentheses on the same line where I did the parentheses. In my second one, I wrote the parentheses on the line where I got the answer from the parentheses. There's going to be different ways that you feel like taking notes. I want you to see a little bit of the difference there. I also want you to see that I used the parenthesis symbol and not the word. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to do one more, and then we're going to do some live in class. So I'm going to start with my original example. Ooh, I had something weird happen. I have 5 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 3. Okay, so I'm looking for my P and PEMDAS, and I don't have any. No parentheses. So then what comes next is I'm looking for the E, the exponents. That happens right here. So 5 squared is like 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Then I'm going to rewrite everything. So I'm going to double check the exponents again. Looking to see, are there any exponents? So I'm going to write no more exponents. And you should be writing everything I write. I'm looking for particular words when I give you credit for your notes. No more exponents. So then the next thing we look for is multiplication and division. So I'm looking. I found multiplication. So 4 times 2 is 8. I'm going to rewrite everything else, bring it straight down. And I'm going to write the word multiplication next to it. So then I'm looking to see, is there any more multiplication or division? And I'm going to write no more multiply or divide. So now I get to go to my next step, which is addition and subtraction. So I'm looking for addition and subtraction, and I see subtraction first. We do the subtraction first because that's what we saw first. 25 minus 8. 25 minus 8. Gives us 13. Plus 3. So I brought that 3 straight down. I'm sticking with green because it's addition or subtraction. And I'm going to use the 13 plus the 3 to get 16. That's my answer. Okay. So now that we've taken some notes in class, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you flip back into a whole class section, and I'm going to do some more problems on the board with you answering live, because it's really helpful for me to see if you got it.